Hey guys, welcome to this course on web development for total beginners. This course is going to be amazing because we are not just learning the basics of HTML and CSS, but we also be building 4 projects totally from scratch, which you will be able to add to your own portfolios. This is the lesson 1 of the course. In this lesson, we are going to cover the basics of HTML. So do watch till the end and make sure to subscribe this channel so that you don't miss any updates. So let's begin. First of all, what is web development? Web development is basically developing a website for the internet or internet. It can range from developing a simple static page to a complex website like a whole e-commerce store or Netflix like websites, etc. 2 basic terms for web development are front-end and back-end development. In this course, we will be mainly talking about front-end. Front-end is mainly composed of 3 programming languages, which are HTML, CSS and JavaScript. In this course, we are only focusing on HTML and CSS. If I am to compare these 3 languages in a single picture, it would be like this. The relation between HTML, CSS and JavaScript is same as the relation between skeleton, neural network and outfit of a human being. HTML is just like a skeleton of a body. It defines the structure of the website, while JavaScript is mainly like the neural network, how it interacts, while CSS is its styling. If we talk about the programming languages, HTML is the first step of creating websites, and after we build the structure of the website, means if we define what goes in the website, like what is the heading, what will be the text. After these things, the next step include CSS that will style the website, which will be used to create visually compelling websites. So what is HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Markup language means computer language that defines structure and presentation of a raw text. In HTML, computer can understand raw text. So if we talk about HTML anatomy, and means the structure of an HTML page, HTML is organized a collection of different tags and family tree relationships. HTML acts as a combination of different elements, and an element is made up of opening tag, closing tag and the content that goes between. So before we can learn the basics of HTML, we need 2 basic things. One is Chrome web browser, which is best for developers out there, and the second thing is VS Code or any other IDE you will prefer. I'm going to assume that now you have downloaded both of these softwares and install them. So let's get ready to learn basics of HTML. First, in a HTML file, to tell the browser that we are going to write HTML, the first thing is to write this tag. This tag is basically a header file. So this tag makes sure that no matter whatever version you are using, no matter it is HTML or HTML5 or any other upgrade in the future, the browser understands that the coming text is HTML, and it will automatically modify it in the future if any new version comes. So let's open an HTML file here and create a new file. I will save it as index.html. So file has been created. If I open this file in the Chrome browser, I will notice that it is empty. See, nothing. So the next thing I want to do is add the header file so that my computer knows that the upcoming text is HTML. So I will type doc type HTML. The first thing to write in a HTML file. It is not necessary. Even if I write nothing here and just type some text that says hello world and save it and again refresh this page, see, it just prints the text. But to make sure that the website or the web page is accessible for a longer term, we need to use this tag. Okay, so the next thing is defining the structure of HTML. So the first tag the HTML will use is a HTML tag. Everything that you want on the website goes in between the HTML tag. It is just like a overall body structure. So all of our code will be inside this tag. So I will say HTML So everything that I want to add to my website will be between these two tags. Remember that this tag on the first line is just a header file. So now let's move to the next thing. The next thing is elements. So what are elements? Elements are basically the different attributes or characteristics of a HTML page. Like in a human body, we have three basic parts: head, body and foot. So same is the case in HTML file. It has a body, head, and inside of these two main elements there are different smaller elements. Like in our body we have hand, lungs, etc. That's the same thing in HTML file, because in HTML inside head, if I want to define a heading, I have different characteristics for it, like h1, h2. More will come in the next slides. So the first thing is to define these tags in between here. Okay, so moving on to the next slide, the first tag we are discussing is the head tag or the head element. So this is the syntax for it. Okay, this will give the browser some information about the page title or page itself, overall the outline of the page. If I write this tag here, head and head, okay, always remember that this is an opening tag without backslash and this is a closing tag. All of our content will be inside of this tag, inside of these two tags, opening and closing tag. Okay, so in this tags we can include different smaller headings like title of the page or metadata, which is useful for SEO. The next tag is the body element. The body is one of the key elements of a web page and it acts as a parent element for many other smaller elements like headings, images, etc. An element inside of another element, like if I want to define a heading in the body element, it will be called the child of the parent, like the heading will be the child of the body tag. Child element is always nested inside of the parent element, so we have to add indentation. The relationship between parent, child and its child is called hierarchy. Each child will inherit properties like behavior, styling. If I add some color to the parent, that will be definitely added to the child. More will come about it. We will discuss more about it in the CSS file. So moving on to the next slide. So if I just add the body tag also here, body, okay. So now we talk about HTML text. Text in each media comes under two types: headings and paragraphs. So you may come across the concept of headings and subheadings. So same is the concept with HTML. HTML has different tags for headings and subheadings and smaller headings that we use in general. So for that, HTML use 6 different headings, H1 to H6. H1 is the main heading and remaining are the subheadings. These heading tags are similar to the body and head elements. So these tags will definitely go only inside the body element, because in head we just add title and metadata. Okay, so here we go and add H1 tag. H1 tag is just like similar to the head tag or body tag, and it has one opening tag and one closing tag. So if I want to add some content in between each tag, you will notice a change. So if I say Mac Academy and save it and then run the file here, see the color here and the size of the text. But if I refresh it, see, size has been increased and it is now bold. The reason is that H1 is the main heading. It has a default size of 16 pixels, more than any other heading. So if I add the next line as H2 and adds between introduction to HTML and save it and run it again, see, this is smaller. So if I instead of H2 write it as H6 and save it and run it again, see, the size is much smaller now. So let's move to the next thing, paragraphs. If I want to add some text as a general text, not as a heading, simple text, so for that I will go here and add a P tag. P is for paragraph, and in between I say this is the course to learn HTML and CSS basics. Okay, I think that's enough. So if I just save it and reload this page, see, this line is simple and no boldness and no styling, just simple text in the paragraph format. Before we move forward, have a look at the title of this web page. It is saying index.html. If you remember, it is the name of our web page and it is same as the name of the file that we stored locally on our computer, index.html. Now if I want to modify it to something else like my first web page, then I will return to my HTML file and I will use the title tag inside of the head element. Remember that it can only be used inside the head element, like it cannot be used in the body or footer element. So the first thing will be adding the title tag, and between here I will say my first web page. Okay, if I save it and rerun this file, see, it has been modified. I have modified the web page a little bit so that we can use different tags on these text and it now looks like this. See, introduction to web element, Mega Academy, and some description. And in the description it is telling us about the projects we will be building in this course after we have done the basics of HTML and CSS. So the next element we are discussing is division element or div. It is used for division or as a container in a web page. Its function is to divide the page into different sections, smaller sections, so that we can apply custom style to each of them. For example, if I want to have two different columns of two different colors, like one of red and one of green on my web page, I can use division element and I can assign different division tag to each of these columns. It is very useful for grouping elements, and we will discuss more about it in the styling section. But for now, let's define it inside of our HTML file. So in here, the first thing is the content which I want inside of my container. So let's say I want all of these lines inside of my division. So I will go to the top of body tag, and here I will say division, which is the opening tag, and we don't need that closing tag here because we want all of these lines inside of our tag. So I will indent them a little bit, and at the end of them I will say closed division. So division tags are basically invisible. They have no physical appearance. So if I just save the file and reload this page, nothing happens because we haven't added any attributes to the division tag. For attributes, we use opening tags of our element. Attributes are basically composed of two different parts. One is the name of the attribute and one is the value of attribute. For example, if I want a page to be red, of color red, I will say color is equal to red inside the opening tag of the element. So in this example, the name of the attribute is color and the value of attribute is red. Value will be inside of inverted commas. But if we want to assign a value or attribute to the division element, the most common attribute will be ID. IDs are very useful if we want to add styling to a custom element. We will discuss more about it in the CSS section. So in here I will write ID is equal to inverted commas and ID will be intro. So our division element has been added an attribute. So if I just save it for now and move on to the next section, which is styling text. So if you have ever used MS Word or any other text editor, you will definitely know that we can style text in three different formats, at least three different formats: bold, italics and underline. Same is the case in HTML, but for these things in HTML we use tags like strong tag for boldness, EM tag for italics and U tag for underline. So if I want to add an element which is bold, like in here I say I want HTML and CSS to be bold, so I will add strong element. It is similar to all the other tags we use. So first I will add an opening tag, strong, and the next thing is to add a closing tag, but I want the HTML and CSS to be bold. So HTML and CSS is the content to be bold, so I will add it in the inside the strong tag and add the closing tag after the CSS. So I will say strong. So if I save it now and reload this web page, see, HTML CSS is now bold. Same is the case with italics. So I will add Mac Academy as italics. So EM, and after Mac Academy EM, and save it. See, it has been changed. So if I want the description to be underlined or the web development to be underlined, so I will say U and insert U. So if I reload the web page, see, it has been underlined. Moving on to the next part, which is line breaks. Line breaks are basically moving on to the next line. If you have ever programmed in any other language before, you might have used these line breaks. It is different in all of these languages, like in C++ it is \n or ENDL for N9, but in HTML it is different. In HTML, if we add an end space here, like by hitting enter, it does not add any next line in the web page. Like if I save it and rerun this file, see, it doesn't change a little bit. But if I want to add a line break to my text, I have to use the break tag, which is Bria, and the other one will go here. So if I just save it and reload this file, see, lines have been added. So if I want to add a new line in between of these two lines, so I will use the break element twice. See, a new line has been added. These tags are basically used to emphasize the text, to add more styling to the skeleton of the web page. The next thing will be lists. There are basically two types of lists. Lists means ordering the element or arranging the element or displaying the elements one by one, like in an order. Like if we go to a store, the list of the grocery items we purchased will be displayed as a list, not in a paragraph. So if I come to my web page, you can see here in the last line it includes the web pages we will be building. So if I want to add them in a list, like in here, so for this I will be using lists. There are basically two types of list: unordered list and ordered list. We will discuss the difference in just a moment. So if I use unordered list, for which the tag is UL, so if I go here and here I add and UL, and I will add it to the end. So if I just save the page and rerun this file, see, it does not make any difference. It just move it to the next line in a as a first element of the list, but it is still displaying as a single line. So for them to be a different element of their own, I will be using li tag to add them to the list. So the basic thing I want to tell you is UL tags should not be holding raw text, and it won't automatically add the element to the list. For this we use li tags, which is li and it will go to the end also. So if I just save it and rerun this file, see, it has been added to the list, and the remaining things are in the same function as before. So if I add li tags to each of them, so if I save it now and refresh this page, see, it has been added to a list. Now if we notice here, all of these headings are using bullets, but if I want to number them, or for example, if in this line if I add number of projects, which is 4, so the first thing is we will build 4 projects, and these projects include, okay, so if I save it, same 4 has been added. And if I want to change these bullets to numbers, for this I will be using ordered list. This is an unordered list. Unordered list uses bullets to add elements to the list, but ordered list defines the number of elements inside a list by using numbers instead of bullets. So for the ordered list, I will be using, instead of ul tag, I will be using ol tag. So if I save it and reload this page, tada, the projects has been numbered. So we now know that there are total 4 number of projects, and one is web portfolio, 2 is blog page, 3 is a responsive web design page, and the 4th one is fully functioning website. So moving on to the next line, how we add images to these pages, for which we use an image tag. It is a self-closing tag, means it does not have to be a separate opening tag and a separate closing tag, but it can be used in a single tag. It only requires a single attribute which is necessary for it, which is src, stands for source, which will be equal to the path of the file that we want to add into our web page. So if I return to my HTML file and now I want to add an image to my web page. The image I will be using is this one. Okay, now the next question is, where do I add this? So I think that it will be better if I add it between the Mac Academy and the description right here. So let's try this. So I go here beneath this h3 tag, and in here I will define the image tag, and with it the source attribute, which will be equal to the path of the file. Since I am in here the index.html file, and the picture I want to add is inside of the image folder, so I will go inside the image folder, and in here I will call the image file. So the last thing is, since image is a self-closing tag, it does not require a separate closing tag. So I will just close it right here and save it and reload this web page. See, picture has been added. So the next thing to discuss is another attribute for image tag, which is called alt. It is basically used for SEO purposes, and it stands for alternating text. Means that if a web crawler is crawling your website and gathering information from it, it will not be able to see images, but it can understand these images, what the image is about, by looking at the alt. So we can add alt here next to the source, and it will be something related to the image. Since image is a logo, so I will just say logo for Mac Academy. Okay. Another advantage of alt is that if due to some reason image failed to load, it still displays the related text which is alt in our case, as description of the image. So one can read the description of the image and know that what the image is about. Now after image tag, we will be using video tag so that we can add videos to our web pages. So video tag is mostly similar to the image tag, but one of the key difference between these two tags is that unlike image, video tag is not a self-closing tag, but rather it requires both opening and closing tags. So if I add a video tag here in my HTML file right under the description, so I will say video opening and closing tags, and then in the opening tag I will add source attribute which will store the path of the video. And if you see here in the resource folder, I have already added the video, so I will say resources and video. So if I save this file and before running it, I will have to add some other attributes too, like what will be the width of the video player that will be playing this video, and what will be the height, and does the video player include controls or not. So for that I will be adding attributes next to the source. Width is equal to 320, height is equal to 240, and the last thing is controls. This attribute makes sure that web page includes the basic video controls inside the video player. So if I just save it and reload this page, see, controls are present. I can control the volume and I can play the video right here. See, video is playing. This video does not include any sound, that's why no sound is coming. So if I go back to my code, and if you see, it is same as any other tag. So that means in between these tags I can put some content. But if I say this video is related to creativity, so if I just save it and refreshes this page, see, the text is not displaying. So when will the text be displayed? So if the browser is unable to load this video inside the web page, this text will be displayed. This text is just like a description of the video. The same thing we did with the image here using alt, but here in video tag we will be using this text line. Now the next thing after the image and video tags is linking to other web pages, like how to link a text of the web page to some external link like Wikipedia or YouTube, etc. So this can be done by using anchor element. Anchor element has the text of the link in between the opening and closing tags. So if I want to make this text here Mac Academy and convert it into a link, so for this I will be using anchor element. So I will go here in my code, and here in here I will be adding link to it. So for this I will be using anchor tag, and I will place Mac Academy in between the tags. So if I just save it, and the next thing is the link which I want it to redirect the user. So for this I will be using href attribute. So href attribute will be added to the opening tag, and it will direct us to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Mac-Academy. So if I just save it and refresh this page, see, the color has been changed and it is now underlined and it is blue. So if I just click here, See, it opens up my YouTube channel. Good. So the next thing I want to do is make sure that whenever a user clicks this link, the link is opened inside of a new tab, not in the same tab. So for this I will be using another attribute, which is target is equal to blank. This attribute, this line will make sure that the link is always opened inside of a new tab. So if I just save it and refreshes this page, so now if I click this link, see, the link is opening in the new tab, not in the same tab. Now we have learned how to link other web pages to our website using anchor element. This can also be used to link a reference page, like moving from one page of website to another page. For this we will be using another HTML file that will be representing the second page of the website. So for this I will create another HTML file here, and I will name it, I will save it as second webpage .html, and in here first I will create the basic syntax, and the next thing will be the HTML tag, and in between the two tags, head and body, so let me just remove the indentation. So in head I will just, in body I will just create a heading, and the content will be welcome to second web page of the website, h1. Okay, now if I just save it, and the next thing will be linking this web page to our main HTML file. So in here, instead of the link, I will provide the path of the second web page, and it is in the same directory as of the index file. So I will just say second web page.html and save it. And now if I reload this web page and click here on Mac Academy, see, it opens me as the second HTML file, which is saying welcome to second web page of website. Using this technique we can build as many pages of our website as we want. Just like the text, anchor element can also be used with images. This can be done by placing the image tag between the opening and closing tags of anchor element, so that when the image is clicked, it opens a new link just like this one. Okay, so moving on forward, the next thing will be linking to the same page, like scrolling automatically to the desired option. In order to link some place on the same web page that I am currently using, I will require an ID for the target that I am redirecting the user to. So if I want a text on the bottom of my web page saying top here, that when it will be clicked, it will redirect the user by automatically scrolling to the text here. It will redirect the user to the top of the website. So this can be done by using the anchor element as well. So for this I will be going here and adding some text here. I will say top, and I will place this text inside of an anchor element, and the closing tag and href will be equal to. So now here I will provide the location where I want it to be redirected. So to specify a location in a HTML file, we use IDs or specify some target or some element. Like if I want it to be redirected to the introduction of web development, in the opening tag of it, I will assign an ID, just like we did with this one. ID is equal to intro. So I will say ID is equal to top, and in the HTML file, I will say top. But if I save it and run this file, say top, it is not doing anything, it is just displaying me an error. The reason is that I haven't used the correct procedure for it. So for this, I must write hashtag here, so that when clicked, it will redirect me to the top of the web page. So if I just refresh it and click the top element again, see? That's all from this video. I hope you learned something valuable from this section, and you have probably learned about the basics of HTML, and now you can build your web pages by yourself. And in the next section, we will be discussing the basics of CSS, which will be used in the styling of our web page. If you learned something valuable from this section, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up, and do ask away your questions in the comment section, and make sure, I repeat, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. Till next time, happy learning, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.